Is there slave labor these days? Sadly, yes, and it's been increasing. This extremely controversial topic will bring a shocking story. A report released by the UN has shed light on the disheartening reality of minority groups in the Xinjiang region. Yes, China engages in this practice too. According to this report, there are indications that these groups are being forced to labor against their will in the agricultural and manufacturing sectors. This situation appears to be facilitated by two state-run systems in Xinjiang: vocational training centers where these minorities are detained and forced to work, and the shifting of rural workers to low-cost jobs promising improvements in their lives. Whilst the Chinese government claims that these programs aim to offer job opportunities and better the lives of these minorities, the report indicates that many workers are being exploited and don't have a choice about the work they do. It's important to point out that China strongly denies these accusations, saying they're lies fabricated by the United States and Western countries. According to the Chinese government, they believe these accusations are made to harm the growth and stability of Xinjiang as well as to interfere with the nation's development process. In Beijing, a journalist shocked everyone by reporting that children as young as 9 years old were working long hours in factories. Some of these children were sold, while others were sent by their parents in a desperate attempt to escape the crisis. The renowned China Daily newspaper reported at the time that 167 children were rescued from a factory in the city of Dongguan, and authorities quickly took action, making several arrests. It was estimated that over 1,000 children were working under these conditions in at least one city in southern China. In response to the chaos against the country, the Chinese government announced a major cleanup operation to combat slave and child labor in 2007. This action took place after it was discovered that children were being forced to work in brick factories. However, an expert named Daniel Greffes noted that this incident suggested that slave and child labor practices were still present in China, resisting combating efforts. Local newspapers reported that communist leaders in the city of Dongguan instructed police and labor officials to rescue the children and severely punish those involved in their trafficking. Since 2016, they also have built re-education camps where individuals seen as untrustworthy are sent. This includes behaviors such as using encrypted messaging apps, viewing religious content, or even having relatives living abroad. Though China labels them schools for de-radicalization, documents indicate that these places are in fact systems of confinement, designed to replace religious and cultural identities with forced allegiance to the Communist Party. However, the forced assimilation is not just limited to the camps. Since 2018, there's been a significant industrial expansion in Shenzhen with hundreds of factories recruiting. The government sees work as a means to alter the absolute beliefs of Shenzhen's minorities, morphing them into modern salaried Chinese citizens. In March 2020, the institute released a report that brought worrying information. It identified 83 foreign and Chinese companies that allegedly benefited from using Uyghur workers outside of the Xinjiang region in China through potentially abusive labor transfer programs. And who are the Uyghurs? Well, it's a group that's formed of about 12 million people. The Uyghurs have their own language similar to Turkish, and they identify with the culture of other Central Asian nations. According to ASPI, it's likely that at least 80,000 Uyghurs were transferred from Tianjin and sent to factories in various supply chains, including electronics, testing, and automobiles, through a government policy known as Tianjin Aid. The report identified 27 factories in 9 Chinese provinces that have been using Uyghur labor transferred since 2017. ASPI reached out to the 83 factories mentioned in the report to confirm relevant information about their suppliers. Some companies responded before the report was published and provided their explanations. Later, other reports asserted that millions of Uyghurs and other ethnic minorities are detained in re-education camps in the Xinjiang region of China and are being compelled to work in factories. Besides, these people are being moved to areas beyond Xinjiang under a government-coordinated labor transfer program. These accusations have been supported by increasing evidence, causing growing shock and concern worldwide, identifying that Uyghurs and other ethnic minorities are working in forced labor conditions in factories supplying products to major companies globally. In 2021, the US government spoke up, stating that Xinjiang, the government itself, is the trafficker. The authorities there are using harsh methods to make prisoners work in factories or nearby places, producing a range of products that are distributed worldwide. These products include clothes, shoes, rugs, food, construction materials, renewable energy components, electronics, chemicals, among others. Since these abuses were exposed, there has been a growing international outrage. Although the Chinese government initially denied all these allegations, they were confronted with witness testimony and detailed reports from multiple sources. The People's Republic of China eventually acknowledged the existence of the detention camps. The Chinese authorities justified these facilities as a necessary measure to fight terrorism, while also claiming that many of them had already been closed. However, these camps have been growing increasingly in numbers and sizes, with hundreds of thousands of victims transferred to bigger, more technologically advanced prisons on false terrorism-related charges. Moreover, the government has been transferring many detainees to other camps in Tianjin and other provinces of the country under the pretext of a poverty alleviation program, where companies and local governments receive funds to force these people to work in factories. With so many individuals missing and abused within this system, entire communities with their histories and rich culture have been turned into actual ghost towns. Can you believe it? And those who manage to avoid detention still face the risk of state-sponsored forced labor and other kinds of abuse, spreading the complicity of forced labor of the People's Republic of China around the world. What do you think about this issue? Do you believe there is slave labor in China or just sensationalism from other countries?